Mini, a car that's not quite small anymore, but did retain its go-kart feeling. The facelifted, improved Mini Cooper S. Back in the days when it was still the classic boxy Mini, people couldn't even imagine that a Mini could have adaptive LEDs in the future. Not only does this Mini have LEDs, they are also adaptive now, so they will shine into corners and won't blind oncoming traffic even with high beams on. The S version means this Mini has 141 instead of 100 kilowatts under the bonnet. And as is traditional, you can decorate your Mini with various colors, stripes and other details. Or that it would have the rear lights in the shape of the British flag. Although, now that I think about it, perhaps BMW should offer also ones with stars. Because, well, let's face it, it hasn't been an English product for a while now. Okay, the English will probably give me dirty looks now, but hold on, I like the lights. I also really like these seats inside. They're a combination of textile and leather, and you really have a feeling you're sitting on some very comfortable yet sporty English seats. Or this gear shifter, automatic gear shifter, which gives you the impression you're sitting in a fighter jet, ready to shoot down some enemies. Just don't press this button while driving, because that is park. Boo! Now I'm sitting in the co-driver's seat, and if I'm sitting like this, where I have just enough space in the front, but then I want to go sit in the back, well, the rear passenger doors are, well, comically small. And if I try to sit in the back, well, actually, it's not really a squeeze. There's quite a bit of space because of this hole in the seats. That's quite nice. And then you've got interesting little details like this chromed gas cap or petrol cap. And in the back, the boot isn't really that huge, even though you do have a nice little space here on the bottom beneath this false floor. But of course, nobody ever pretended that the Mini Cooper S is an insanely practical car for transporting large quantities of stuff. No, this is an S Sport. The facelifted model continues to play around with colors and ambient lighting. The engine start button still invites you with its pulsating red. Like I've said before, this Mini offers you a lot of customization options, so you can choose and mix. Grey textile seats? Alright. They can also be leather beige or red, among others. But enough looking. For a Mini, its looks are important, but driving characteristics even more so. I've mentioned the rear lights before and how they're in the shape of the English flag. And while that was a bit of a joke, it's actually true. It was a bit controversial of Mini to do that, and in fact for people who don't want to buy a Mini with English flags in the rear lights, you have an option to take more standard ones. But I really like those ones. I think they look great, especially because it's a Mini. I know it's not English anymore pretty much, but British, but it's pretty cool. Otherwise, there's you don't really see that many differences in the car on when you first look at it. I've still got the analog classic speedometer with the digital screen for the trip computer, If you don't like the flashy chrome on the front mask and around the lights, you have a black option, for example, so it looks a little more subtle perhaps. And I still like this gear shifter, which, like I said, really looks like you're in a jet fighter. This Mini is still a Mini as far as driving goes. It's a lot of fun, and it should be. They actually didn't change the chassis at all, and I think that's right, because just like before, it's a blast to drive on pretty much any road, especially a curvy road, as long as it's nice, because it is quite stiff. And there's one thing, even though the engine is very responsive and nice, especially if you put it in sporty mode, the exhaust note will be very nice and fun. The steering wheel is a little bit on the heavy side perhaps, but not for the sporty side, that's fine. But if you do a lot of city driving, a lot of parking, turning around, and so on and so forth, you might after a while wish for it to be either adjustable or a little bit lighter. But I'm just nitpicking. And this is one of the best things perhaps about the Mini. You can drive along nicely and slowly on its eco-green setting, where the car is very sort of refined, quiet, and nice, even though the suspension cannot be adjusted, so it's a bit stiff. But then you simply put it into sport mode, put your foot down, and I love it! It's so much fun! It's how a hot hatch should be. And right now I've got 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is actually pretty good if you think about it for a 2-liter turbo petrol like this. And but let's not pretend that this is some kind of an eco-green car, even though it does have that setting. This is a car to have fun in. I'd like to show you one more thing, well, maybe two. Here we have the instrument cluster, which of course is analog, retro, like I said, with a digital display. And of course you've got your fuel display here, which is a little bit updated from before. But this is what I really wanted to show you, the display for the infotainment. Now this is the smaller one of the two. The one with the bigger one is, well, it's much bigger. But I actually quite like this one. It's very high resolution, and it's very smooth as well, as you can see. The menus are quite nicely done, and of course it is all shut up. It's all touch screen, and apparently we're going there now.
The base Cooper starts at just over 22,000 euros, while the S at 26,600 euros. Mini Cooper S with the automatic transmission and practically all the optional extras will come up to over 45,000 euros.